So my talk was essentially trying to use the tools of economics, psychology, and information technology to help students make better decisions in the transition from high school to college. Because it turns out most students don't understand that process well. It's very daunting, creates mixed feelings, and it's a high-stakes decision because the returns to going to college are high. So what we're trying to do is help students choose the colleges and the choices, the majors that they choose better than they would have otherwise, and hope to see that through this interaction with a technological platform that we designed that works through SMSs and cell phones, that would help them sort of choose a college that is more rewarding in terms of economic outcomes, reduces dropout rates, and then also sort of increase the probability of college going, particularly amongst low-income students for whom the college going rate at baseline is very low. To address this problem, we combined the tools of economics and psychology and big data development. We created a chatbot. And so the chatbot essentially is a robot that interacts through cell phones with the students and gives them personalized, interactive, dynamic recommendations and information to help them choose what they want to do. So far we're in the preliminary stages. What we have found is that once students engage with the bot, they find it very rewarding and they learn quite a bit. So for example, their beliefs about how much students earn after they graduate from college, get much more accurate, and they get information that they think is valuable. Obviously, since we just rolled the project out, we want to see eventually what happens with their enrollment and their persistence in college. But for those outcomes, we have to wait a little bit more. So in that sense, our study is just at the preliminary stages. The first was designing the bot in a way that would utilize the information and communicate things in a very natural way. We still sort of it feels still like communicating with a machine rather than with a college counselor, which is ultimately what we want. The second thing is there's a trust issue. We want the students to think that this is a legit tool, but many of them distrust either the government or the system, and we're sort of less likely to engage, and we want to breach that sort of trust barrier, maybe by working with schools or engaging in more sort of interactive communication campaigns, starting the process earlier than when students are high school seniors. So I mean, one thing that is very exciting for us is what we're calling research practice partnerships. And so essentially that we're using our sort of academic tools and our knowledge to design and help design, implement, and evaluate policy at a large scale. So one of the differences between our project and some other projects that have been done in this similar area has to do with the fact that we're working with the national government and we're doing this at scale. So the hope of improving the welfare of millions or hundreds of thousands of students is extremely inspiring, and that sort of helps us move forward. And also the initial reactions that we received from the students in terms of when they sort of interact with the platform and the bot, they find it useful and engaging, sort of also gave us some promise that maybe we're onto something that could be potentially relevant. And the nice thing about this is that if we get something that works well, it's very low cost, it's scalable, so it could be a tool that could have massive impact on the lives of many youth around the world.